Da
Da da
da
da
da
da da da da da.
Hello,
Good morning.
myself,
Good afternoon.
Andy Shalef, and myself today will be speaking with Hannah Becker.
We're talking to a New York Jew about comedy and a life of comedy and how that looks.
And so much more.
And
a wonderful
chaos. Hey.
How are you on this?
I'm very good. I woke up and I didn't feel well. I felt a little bit
COVID-ish?
No, not physically unwell. I felt just like melancholy. That would be the word I'd use. And I woke up and I felt like I don't really want to walk today.
Oh.
And it was a funny moment. These are the decisive moments in life, because all of a sudden you're taken in one direction and the question is, what do you do?
So what did you do, Mr. Shalef?
So I said, I'm walking. That's all I said is I'm walking. So I started to walk. I did my 20,000 steps, and it was amazing. By the end of the 20,000, I felt really relaxed, relieved, and actually in a really good place. So the thing I took away, isn't it amazing that not feeling well pushes you in a direction so you'll feel even less well? So the discipline you've been discussing for years now about staying disciplined, staying focused, and keeping yourself in a good state of mind, I saw it today firsthand, which was really sweet. I thought of you a lot as I was walking. What? You're proud of me?
That is proud of you.
I am so happy to hear that. You should have been. I'm proud of myself every time I make a decision, which is not an easy decision to make. It's funny because
you want another pat on the back?
No. But I mean, it's like, when people would watch, you'd be like, okay, there's things that one would think you'd be proud of. Like, of course, writing the books, there's a lot of things to be say, wow, look I've got this book. But actually to get out of bed when I don't want to get out of bed and walk is something that I feel even more proud of at this very, very moment. Yeah.
He's talking about
Bambos. Thank you. There's always a moment, the two books, The Last Letter, The Wounded Healer. And at first I thought it was absurd that you did that, but now I've been told by two different people they've purchased it just because you kept showing it. So.
And I read both about 15 times, and I just started writing the one which is in the making.
Yeah. How have you liked the one in the making?
Really nice. Really nice. I'm enjoying it more than the other two.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And why is that? Tell me why.
It's all the stuff that we've been talking about for years. You've been mentoring and coaching me on, and now I get to actually look at it and be like, I know that.
Oh, it's almost kind of like an like you've picked it up through osmosis. Because those who haven't read the books, basically in the books, I never give away the secret. I discuss my life and use it as an example. So if you read it like you have, you'll kind of understand what I'm saying, but I never make it so explicit that you feel like you're in a workbook.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to change the subject.
I do too.
Stand-up comedy.
Stand-up comedy.
Today, if you guys haven't seen my social media stories, I decided to stop two random people.
It was hysterical. I didn't see it till just a minute ago.
Like, hey guys, I'm doing a podcast. You need to say a wonderful chaos, okay? They're like, okay.
I'm like, they barely spoke English, basically. So Bambos, just to recap, if those who didn't watch it, Bambos does an intro to today's show, and then he says, and you'll see us on, and then he flips the camera to two random people who know nothing of who he is or what he does, and then they say a wonderful chaos.
But you can see the question mark. Wonderful chaos.
I think every show we should just find people we don't know and say, when I point to you, please just say a wonderful chaos.
That's gonna be a new thing.
We
need t-shirts now. It's official.
Oh, I love it. You're brilliant.
Stand-up comedy. It feels.
I love this topic.
I know you do. It feels like our whole show is a stand-up comedy sometimes.
I feel the same. And if I think about like even my coaching practices, it feels more like improvisation than it does teaching. Because that standard line in improvisation. It's always yes and. So you're never going to negate a suggestion made by anyone. Yeah. And in life, I don't see life any differently.
And what he just said, it's actually when you say yes and, it's also taking the other into account and kind of celebrating them, as opposed to saying no, which kind of cuts the flow.
Yeah, like they say they're going to set up the routine, and he says, "What is that? What do I have in my hand?" And then someone shouts out dildo. And you say, "No, not dildo. Give me something else I can work with." Like you'd never do that.
Say dildo.
Dildo.
Yes, and a toilet brush.
Yesterday you didn't play improv with me, by the way. There was a moment I wanted to call and tell you that. Yesterday when we had the guest on,
no.
and I said the word sexy, you said no, sensual.
You see,
and I wanted to talk to you about that.
Everything I say will be used against me
in the court of law.
Yes.
It's
like karma.
It is. So we're going to discuss today with Hannah, and we're going to discuss why the hell she decided to put herself through this misery. That's what we're going to discuss with her.
Yes. And we're going to do that on
A Wonderful Chaos. Didn't we already introduce the show? I'm trying to make you think I'm senile.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. Very good. We're on our new chairs. They're crystal clear chairs, so the green screen works, or pretty much works.
If I do this?
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. A little bit of reflection, but works.
Yeah, as long as we're in front of them, it should be fine. So, Hannah, you come to join us. What the hell would bring you into something that causes so much misery?
Oh, man. Yeah, I think anyone who does stand-up is a little bit like masochistic, because, yeah, you really do have to suffer a lot. I mean, you have to bomb a lot. You have to make a fool of yourself a lot. But, you know, it's worth it for the laughs. The laughs are just like, once you get...
Hannah, all I know in my life, also when I've gone and done improv, like just as a guest, just jumped on the stage, I saw there's moments where I had in mind what I was going to share as something funny, but then the little voice in my head, yeah, but this thing you did like 3 years ago is embarrassing and even funnier. And then I know that if I go for the one that I planned, it's too controlled, and this one. So like, how do you navigate that inside you?
Yeah, well, you definitely have to be adaptable. I mean, stand-up and improv are really different in a lot of ways, but there are elements of improv in stand-up, but I think in general, stand-up, you write stuff out. But sometimes, yeah, you get to a show and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this set and these are the bits that I want to do. And then you see the crowd and you're like, nah, I got to do something different. And I've had this moment where I've gotten on stage and been like, I shouldn't do what I'm about to do, but then I do it anyway because it's what I planned, and then I regret it. Like this happened a couple weeks ago where I was like, oh, I should have gone. My gut was telling me to do something totally different, but I was so stuck on like, no, I have to do what I prepared.
Would you ever go into that on stage? So I guess that would be a little bit of an improv. Would you ever share that as you were like your own thinking processes, or do you think that that's sort of like you don't need to be whatever vulnerable?
Oh, I mean, stand-up it's the most vulnerable thing I think you can do, because it's just you alone on a stage talking about yourself and your thoughts. So I mean, you're being vulnerable no matter what. But yeah, I think sometimes it depends. It also depends on the show. I mean, if it's a big show where I'm getting paid or that kind of thing, I may be more likely to stick to what I prepare and what I know is going to work. But yeah, definitely at smaller shows or at open mics or whatever, yeah, maybe you go into being like, okay, this isn't working, or like, you guys want to hear about this, so I'm going to do this, or you guys don't even want to hear jokes, you just want me to talk to you, so I'm just going to do that. So yeah, sometimes, yeah, I get into that.
There's something that I saw immediately when I watched your video, and it was like, I felt, and it's a weird thing, it's such a nuance, you may know what I'm talking about, or it may sound totally abstract to you, but I know when someone comes on stage as a comic, if they're bound to do it professionally or if they're an amateur trying to do it. And it's almost like how they hold themselves from the first moment.
Yeah.
And when I saw you do it, you held yourself, as I understand a professional comic holds himself. So do you know what I'm talking about, or is it so abstract?
No, totally. I mean, that's one of the comments that I get a lot is about my stage presence and my confidence on stage. So for sure, yeah. I mean, I'd love to be complimented on my writing, but but I'm happy to take the other compliments.
Well,
I know.
No, I wanted to start there because for me, it's a weird thing. And it's one of those things, that the book Blink, like like when you're watching something in a second, you already know if you're looking at somebody who's really supposed to be doing this or if someone who's just practicing. And that Blink moment was like, oh, like I could just tell immediately, wow, she's holding herself in this space.
Yeah. I mean, I think that comes from the fact that I've been doing theater and performing since I was a little kid. So it's like I've always felt more comfortable and strong on stage than off stage, which is weird for a lot of people. But yeah, for me, that's just
no. I mean, it's true because as I look at you now, that's not the persona that I see that does the stage performance, of course. Yeah.
So how does it impact your life? Like you tell people I do stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Like, do they say, tell me a joke like I did? Like,
yeah. always tell me a joke. Yeah. One of my friends here has been doing a bit about that. And he was like, you don't go up to a carpenter and be like, make me a table. It's like, that's not mine.
I get it. Tell me a joke.
Oh, shit, no, stop it.
No, you can go look me up on the internet. I mean, I don't have a lot of recent stuff, but you can see
because of COVID, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, things here in Barcelona have been pretty open. So we've been performing. We're like the only place in Europe that's doing shows. It's pretty wild.
I want to be a little bit random. How does are you in a relationship?
I wanted to go there.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
Okay, then I don't have a question. No,
I got tons of questions.
No, what was the question?
I'll let Bambo start, and I'll follow up afterwards.
Oh, for me also, when you guys met, how was that introducing that part of your life?
I want to know, how uncomfortable is he that you might tell a joke about him? That's what I want to know.
I do tell jokes about him. I don't think he loves it, but I haven't told any mean-spirited jokes about him, obviously, because I love him.
It sounds like it's more like a celebration of you guys than anything else.
No, don't soften the blood, Bambos. Come on, we got to dig into this. So he's Spanish. No. He's a Spaniard.
He's a Spaniard. He's Catalan. He's a local guy.
Okay, let me calm the beast down. Andy,
I want to fucking get to the meat, Bambos. You're being too gentle.
This reminds me of you and Ronnie.
Go deep. Let's do it.
I want to know when you're fabricating a joke and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, if I go there, I'll get a laugh, but I probably want to have sex for a week. Like, do you do it, or do you say, I'm going to stop here?
Oh man, that's a tough dilemma that I have definitely been in. Where I don't know. You kind of go for the joke. You got to go for the joke.
See, I don't. I keep sex for the week. I don't do that. That's a difference between us.
I mean, I think it hasn't really. Luckily, my relationship is good right now, so there hasn't been anything bad. But with my ex, there were definitely moments towards the end of the relationship where things were getting bad, and I was starting to write these kinds of mean jokes, and I had to be like, "I'm just kidding," and I was like, "I'm not kidding. This is all."
Oh, can I hear some of those? I mean, you don't need to, don't tell them as a joke. I just want to understand the dynamic. Can you share a typical joke without telling it like you're telling a joke? Is that okay? Or are we overstepping our boundaries there?
I don't know. Let me think. Well, because I just remember kind of towards the end of the relationship, I was already writing the jokes. So I just broke up with my boyfriend, I was already writing them. I don't think I even got to write them on paper because I was afraid, if I wrote it, it would be real. But in my head, I was already ooh, after we break up, I'm going to tell this joke. I'm going to tell that joke. I don't know if I can think of anything in
okay,
particular.
That's good.
But I think in the last video that I have on YouTube, there's some of those jokes.
Some of the breakup jokes.
Yeah.
So your ex and your current partner watch your shows?
My ex also does comedy. here in Barcelona.
Really?
Yeah, so we try to avoid each other. I mean, we're like on good terms. It's fine now, but we definitely try to kind of stay out of each other's way as much as we can. And,
We're on great terms. We just don't want to see each other.
yeah, well, I mean, it's
I know. It's not easy.
Yeah, you don't want to like see your ex everywhere doing, the thing that you love to do, that he started to do after you already decided that it was your favorite thing in the world. Whatever.
No.
Yeah,
Really? So he started after you decided to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's better?
Me.
Great.
Good answer.
Like
Good answer.
by far.
So how did this career transpire, by the way? Like, how old were you? Were you like the funny person in school, for example?
Not. I mean, I think I've never been like not funny, if that makes any sense. But I was never. I don't think I would be if you talk to my high school friends. I don't think, or my childhood friends, I don't think they would have said like, yeah, of course Hannah does stand up. I think now they're all like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Mm-hmm. You were always like kind of funny. When I told my parents I was doing my first open mic, my dad was like, "Are you funny?" Which he knows I'm funny, but it was just like that moment where he was like, "Wait, like I never thought that this could be."
You could never earn a living from this.
Yeah, because I come from a New York Jewish family, my dad's side at least, and they're like, all the men in the family were like super loud and just like, like that kind of what you can envision. And I was maybe more with like the little sneaky comment, that maybe not everyone would hear, but if you heard it, you laugh, right? I wasn't necessarily as loud and crazy, and like I did like Shakespeare when I was a kid. So I did like that kind of more theatrical stuff. And then I remember maybe when I was in like 8th grade or 9th grade or something, I did the school play and I did a funny role. And my dad was like, I never knew that you could be funny like that until I saw you do that play or whatever. Yeah. I've been here. I've been weird. Been doing it, but stand up. I started here in Barcelona because in college I was in an a cappella group, and that took up most of my like mental energy, aside from school, obviously. But and I don't know. I came to Barcelona. I started going to open mics with friends, and I was just like, I feel like I could do that. Like I was like, I think I'm funnier than some of these people, which is kind of like a narcissistic moment, which is very stand-up comedy. I think also, I feel like that's
especially
like
especially when you catch yourself.
Really? Yeah, I think. By the way, you find that to be narcissistic to say I could be funnier than that person? Is that I would say narcissistic is I'm funnier than everybody, not than that person.
Okay, maybe it's not quite what's the word then? It's a bit like
judgmental.
Yeah,
you might as well just say they're not funny.
Yeah, I mean, because there definitely were people that I was like, okay, no, they're very good, but then there were other people that were just going up.
I have to say, he's like amped up by 5 times today, and I think it's because of the subject.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it. I'm thinking, if I'm looking at this, how I'm breaking down our experience at this very moment, I'm wanting to bring us into levity and playfulness. And Bambos wants to know how your dad said bad words to you as a child.
Actually, I want to ask an emotional question.
Okay, go for it.
Well, when I heard you sharing the story about making the jokes about your ex, it kind of dawned on me that potentially you can use life circumstance which were uncomfortable as a way to process and heal and even laugh at it.
Totally. And it's like I think most comedians, at least the ones that I'm friends with, would share the sentiment that this is a way to process the hard shit, because if you can make people laugh at your pain, I mean, then it was worth something, right?
Yeah. Do you ever get people that come to you and say, hey, that story was funny, but I have the same experience?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of, I mean, I'm often the only, not often, but often I'm the only woman on a lineup. And so I get a lot of women coming up to me afterwards and being like, oh, thank God you went up because you were talking about things that I could relate to. You know, the other guys were funny. Maybe they were much better than me or whatever, but it's still, you know, people want to relate. They want to laugh. They want to relate.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to being silly.
No, Bob, let's go into, if you had to say that which one of you have to heal from more, would it be your mother or father relationship?
Oh no, I have a great relationship with both of them.
Oh shit.
No, yeah, like a creepily good relationship.
Oh really?
Yeah. No, they like love me too much sometimes. I feel.
Okay, so
I think that's been the biggest detriment to my comedy career is that I have a very loving family.
Yeah, you don't have all the hangups.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have an older brother.
Okay. Yeah, because if you were the only child, then it would really be a mess, I'm sure.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would be insufferable if I were an only child. Oh my God.
She'd be a Jewish American princess, Bambo. So I'll have to explain that to you afterwards.
Explain to me and our viewers, Andy. I have no idea.
When I was a child, my dad was Jewish and my mom was Catholic. So I lived in this bipolar world of like really extremes, like this extreme shame around sexuality with the Catholics. And this kind of utter absurd, I can say anything I want at any moment and it's appropriate with the Jews.
Yeah.
So I've got that in my life. Now, it's really weird, Bambos, to have that because you're with your dad and you're like, everything's appropriate. But if you ever said what your dad said with the Catholics, you'd be in big trouble. So, I mean, like a typical example that I mentioned on the show before, and I'm going to do it again. My mom was the oldest of 12 kids. And we have a Thanksgiving with all the family coming together. It's a very religious moment. They're Midwestern, very conservative. Everyone goes to church on Sundays. It is very, very uncomfortable at that table. And my dad says, I'd like to share a story. Great. I'd like to tell everyone about the first time I had sex. I took the money that I got from my bar mitzvah and I went to a prostitute. And then I went to that prostitute and we had sex. And then I came. And because I came, the prostitute said, that's going to be extra. And now from that moment forward, I always learned to negotiate before you go into a business dealings.
Oh my God, that's like the most Jewish thing I've ever heard. I love that.
That's the reality of my childhood. Like that kind of, and when I try to explain that difference to people, they don't quite get it because unless you've lived it and had the shame of sinking underneath the table, then you don't actually know what that feels like to see.
I feel you.
The comfort of the Jews talking about any random topic.
Yeah.
That's been my experience, at least.
Are you circumcised?
Of course I am.
Of course you are.
What do you mean? You circumcised?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you like circumcised men or uncircumcised? Do you have any preference on that subject?
Not that you can choose between us.
No.
Well, I've had more experience with uncircumcised.
Okay.
Because mostly non-Americans and not.
I do have to say that was a rhetorical question.
No, I think that's a good question to ask.
Oh, really?
I thought it was a genuine question. I don't know, actually. To be honest with you, I don't know if women have a preference.
I mean, I don't think anyone really cares. I don't think it's like a deal breaker either way, usually.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be interesting? Anyone, if you're watching the show, I'd like to know if it's a deal breaker. If you were to find out that one was or was not circumcised, would that be a criteria to say, no, we're not going out?
I love this.
We had a show where early on with a wonderful woman named Serene, and she actually, it was really beautiful and sad. We were the last show she did. She died a week after our show. She had cancer. She knew that she was going on, but she didn't reveal that to us, which was kind of a beautiful thing because she was living in her full empowered self. But the thing that was incredible is that she was completely opposed to circumcision because of the detriment of what she said that we're actually, what was it? I don't forget the term.
Desensitizing.
We're desensitizing, no, but we're also torturing children that we've made it acceptable. Like you're cutting the young child's penis at a young age that they're suffering from, but we've normalized it to the point that we don't see that as suffering. That was what she explained to us.
I mean, I do think it's a bit weird of a thing. I'm not so sure that I would do it to my children.
Yeah.
You know, they can make that decision when they're older. If they
Yeah.
adult circumcision, it's a thing. But no, yeah, I don't know.
Don't Bambos. I always know when Bambos wants to move on to another subject, and I see that face he makes.
One second. Let me rewind. One more second.
Okay, Bambos, now you can move on.
Yeah, we can stop talking about
penises. We can do that.
I'm happy to.
Where do we go from here, Bambos?
Did you make any penis jokes on stage?
What's your sex joke? Do you go there or not in general?
Oh yeah. I'm dirty. I wish I were less dirty. Just because it feels like it's
dirty.
more difficult to write non-dirty jokes. For sure. But it's what makes me laugh. I don't know. It's what I find funny. So
I mean, would you tell it? Like, I think from what I saw of what I watched, which I enjoyed, by the way, I didn't mention that, so let me get that in there as well. I did watch a set. I did enjoy it. You know what frustrated me is that the set wasn't filmed with this high quality thing. And I think that the quality of your performance is so good, it warranted a better quality recording. That was my feeling.
Yeah, that's broke ass comedians having their friends film them as a favor. It was cool even that the guy did like 2 cameras. I was still like, wow, that felt really legit.
But I guess I had a question before I went there. I was wondering, with the sex jokes, do you find that the sex jokes go more in the direction of what men don't understand about women? And so you're kind of like making fun of us women understand this, you men, this is the reality that you don't see. Is it that kind of?
I try to make fun of men as much as possible as a rule. Cause like I said, I mean, I'm usually the only woman or one of 2 women on the lineup. So I think they deserve it. I try to come at everything with kind of a feminist lens, but I also don't want to be pedantic or like, I don't know. I don't want it to come off as like angry feminist. I don't know. I still want to be funny.
Yeah.
But,
so you don't get Rotten Tomatoes?
No. Yeah, I try it. Like my goal is like, I want men to like laugh and then be like, oh, did I just like laugh at a feminist joke? Like I want that moment.
Yeah.
You know, that's.
Did you go into Me Too? Did you have Me Too material?
I don't know. I think no. I don't think I had like a specific joke about all that. I remember doing a
Trump and COVID material.
Yeah, Trump. Nah, also not so much. I mean, I remember after he got elected, I had to do a mic like the following day, and I'd stayed up all night watching it. And like me and like there were like 2 other Americans on the lineup. We just like showed up at the bar like, oh God, like we don't want to tell jokes right now. Like this is horrible. And I think I'd written like in anger, I'd written some set. It wasn't very good, but it was just like I needed to get it out about how like Kim Kardashian should be president, right? By the same logic as Trump becoming president, it should be Kardashian. She's a better businesswoman. She's actually been successful. It was like, all these things. Of like,
her tweets are better.
So,
how about hecklers? How many have you had to deal with, and how do you deal with them?
I feel like I've been pretty lucky not dealing with too many hecklers. But yeah, it always happens. I mean, I host a lot of shows, and so you're more likely to get them when you're hosting, but it's not as bad when you're just doing crowd work because you're kind of asking for it. But when it's bad. It's annoying when you're doing a set and people are kind of yelling out. I don't think I'm the best at dealing with hecklers, but I usually like the audience is on your side. That's the good thing. The problem is when you're doing badly and you get heckled. That's when you're screwed because
you haven't got the momentum in your back.
And the audience is maybe like, yeah, like she does suck, like whatever. But if you're doing well and someone's just like drunk and being annoying or whatever, usually the audience can kind of rally behind you and you can just kind of shame the heckler.
Yeah, there's some of the best comedy routines I've seen is when the comedian takes on a heckler. And I know that you've seen them because they're always like got 1 million+ views. But they're the best moments when the comedian says, "Oh, you don't want to do this." It's like a boxer in a ring. Like, really? Do you want to come in the ring with me? I've been working out like years and you just had 5 beers.
Yeah, it's those people. I think I've done the thing before where I'm like, oh, sorry, do you want to come up? Do you want to come up and do your time? Like, do you want 5 minutes? And usually they're like, no. So that's a good way to kind of get them to be like.
Most embarrassing moment, Hannah, on stage. Like
most embarrassing.
Like I'm thinking I'm on stage and I forget my lines and I just don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah. When did you like hear your heartbeat? Like, what the fuck is going on? I don't even know. I want to sink into like oblivion.
Like it's pounding and you can feel the
can
pulsation
feel it right
in
now,
your ears.
just talking about it. Oh.
Yeah. I have. This happens. So I sometimes perform in Spanish and in Catalan as well. And one time my ex convinced me to perform in this competition in Spanish, and I hadn't really been performing a lot. And it looked like to like a jury of these kind of like not important people, but kind of, I don't know. There were some famous Spanish people there that were watching. And it would have been a really big deal to win. And I think I was the only non-native speaker that was competing. And I fully forgot like what I was doing in the middle. And it was horrifying. There were like maybe there were like 1,000 people. I don't know. It was a lot of people because it was in this like huge outdoor thing. And that was really horrifying because I just fully blanked out. And I think I was just like, I love Barcelona or something like that. And they all clapped. And it gave me and
that was in Spanish. You were doing this in Spanish. That's like doubly painful.
Yeah, it was
trying to be funny in another language.
That's so hard to be funny in another language.
It's really hard.
That's a no-no.
Yeah, it's so hard.
So how does your ex, like, was he the kind of man that kept on?
We always come back to the ex.
I'm following my curiosity.
I love it.
It sounds like he was the kind of man that got you to do things or kind of managed you a little bit.
No,
I mean, I think
he knew what was best for you.
I'm trying to. I want to like push the question a bit more towards a story I think Bambos has in his head.
Okay.
And he can correct me if I'm wrong. But I guess what I'm wondering is, to what degree did your ex have you do things you probably wouldn't have done yourself, but because he pushed you, you did it anyways?
It wasn't necessarily like that. Like, I think it got a bit competitive, I think was the issue. Because I had started doing comedy and I was pretty good, like from the get-go. Like, it was something that I did it and I was like, I'm good at this. I want to do this. Let's go. And then he was like, like, that seems like fun. I'm going to try. And then he would he took a class. Like, I never took classes. I just like would go to mics. I would write with friends. I like more DIY experience. And he was doing courses and like all this stuff. And he would be like, oh, like, why aren't you on mic?
Are we judging him right now?
What?
Are we judging him right now?
I mean, I don't.
Are you judging?
I'm judging judgment? No.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know if she's judging. What makes you say that? Do you think she's being mean? I think she's being mean.
Huh?
What makes you say that?
I saw that there was a tone and a frown when you said he's taking classes and I got this.
But we agree.
I got this thought of, I'm better than him.
I mean,
okay, but you got to be softer on you're interviewing her, Bambos. You got to be softer with the woman, please.
No, that's okay.
She's already established that she's better than her ex. Let's get that clear. Everyone watching, what's his name, just so they can check it? Don't.
No.
No.
Protecting the guilty.
Go back. We're apologizing. We're having way too much
fun.
fun.
No, it's fine. But yeah, he would occasionally kind of make these comments of like, oh, why aren't you writing right now? Or why aren't you going to an open mic tonight? Or why aren't you doing this? And it was like, let me live my life. Like, let me do what I want to do. You know, I don't know. You have your own process. I have my own process. And so I think, yeah, doing that, he was like, I'm going to do this competition. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm sure I was like, oh, if you're going to do it, then I'm going to do it. Because it's like,
Wow.
yeah, I couldn't let him win something.
Yeah.
I don't know. He did. I think he did okay. Obviously, neither of us won, but yeah, I think it was just it got competitive in a way that was not really healthy for our relationship anymore.
Yeah, it sounds that way. I guess you've seen the show Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yes, for sure.
And for you, Bambos, who watches and follows no pop culture, it's about a Jewish woman who actually becomes a comic. Is that not fascinating?
Very Andy.
How much can you relate to the character in Marvelous Miss Maisel?
I mean, I definitely relate to like what happens with her relationship in the show, and I think a lot of female comedians can relate to that.
Can you explain that? Just because in the show, of course, people who haven't seen it.
Yeah, so basically her husband is trying to be a stand-up comedian, and she's going to all of his shows and like editing all of his jokes for him and like punching up everything and, you know, making all the connections, and he's not very good. He's like stealing jokes. And then she, you know, right, it's like she finds out that he was cheating on her and like gets drunk and goes to an open mic and is just hilarious, which is totally unrealistic, but very good and dramatic for the show. But yeah, and then he, like, once he finds out that she's doing comedy, he's like totally turned off by her power and her humor and all that stuff. So I think a lot of female comedians can identify with that it makes relationships difficult. I mean, you have to like choose, and then, she has throughout the series, she has other relationships where you can see that there's like, she's having to sometimes pick her comedy career or the guy. And I've definitely been in those situations before where I've felt like I've had to make that choice, and it's not really fair to either side, because, you can love two different parts of your life in different ways. And, I don't know. I don't think it's like a fair dichotomy. Anyway.
I think there was something that I saw where I don't know who the musician was, but they said there was somebody that was dating someone who made albums, and they said they'll only agree to go out with them if they don't write songs when they break up. Did you hear about this?
No.
Basically saying, listen, your material is going to come from our relationship. So the first album is going to be love, I feel so love. And the second is going to be, you fucked me, you broke my heart. Like, so basically everyone, if you want to hear what their relationship was, you could listen to these two albums. And I think the person joining the relationship said, I don't want to be part of the second album.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, but it's impossible. I mean, I think anyone who's getting into a relationship with a creative type person has to know what they're getting into. And I don't know. I mean, I hope my boyfriend knows that that's what he's gotten himself into.
Do you have time for a talk with my wife?
Yeah.
She signed up for something that she wasn't aware of, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's I don't know. It's tough. Does your wife do creative stuff too, or is she?
No, my wife is as straight as they come. So I took a picture downstairs with Bambos naked behind some thing, and I can tell you, when she saw that picture,
I can show you.
She was like, Andy, like, what are you doing? And I've got a reputation to uphold. So please, kind of keep that to yourself.
Yeah. That's, I think.
I've got another question for you.
Go for it.
Stealing jokes. How often is it done, and have you ever done it?
I've done it accidentally, maybe, but once you like something, or not even like, not like that I stole it accidentally, but like I've told a joke and then I like see some famous comedian's special and I'm like, oh, they did that joke, so now I can't do. That happened to me before. I've never purposely stolen a joke. I think people do. I have a friend, one of my friends here, who's like another kind of regular in the Barcelona comedy scene. He's like, it's not stealing. It's like borrowing. I don't know. He has like a weird philosophy of it.
Yeah.
Improvising
He's like, why? He's like, how come musicians can do covers of other people's songs, but we can't cover other people's jokes, right? I don't know. So it's interesting. I think for the most part, people try not to. There have been some instances in the Barcelona comedy scene where there's a certain comedian who has like pretty much purposely stolen jokes and tried to play it off like it was their joke. And then when called out on it, played it off as like, haha, so silly. Like, I'm so silly that I did that. No, it was a bit of a weird moment.
Was that done off or on while they were on the set?
Offset. So there was like a particular moment at a show where this comedian was performing and I was sitting in the audience and one of my friends in the audience turned around and was like, oh my God, that's like so-and-so's joke. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah. And sent me the clip. And so I sent that clip to the comedian and was like, like sounds familiar. And they were just like, ha 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 ha. I'm like, okay. What that means.
Since we're talking about stealing.
Yeah, we have a Bolalong comment as well.
Yeah.
Go for that first.
Okay. Do jokes have copyrights?
This is an interesting thing. There's a comedian that I know. His name is Ollie Horn. He used to be a lawyer, and he wrote like this whole article about that. I can send it to you guys. And it's this weird, it's weird thing is like intellectual property, but then I don't know, it's weird because there is a possibility of two people having the same exact thought completely separately from each other. This has also happened to me where I've been telling a joke. I'd been telling a joke for a while, and then I went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in 2019 and was at a show, and there was like a Jewish American girl who lives in Australia who told the same exact joke about Judaism. You know, it's not like a super original concept, but it was like weird. I was like, whoa, that's like almost exactly how I tell it too. But obviously I'd never heard of her. She'd never heard of me. So I'm sure
it's because of the Jewish background.
Yeah. I mean, I think, there's like, certain things that are like, okay, of course. It's actually a joke about circumcision too.
Yeah.
But
hola.
Speaking of circumcision, before you go on to yours, Bambos, let's go to Bolalong again. Bolalong says, in some regions of Africa, it's determining factor for women.
Yeah.
The language used is, are you circumcised? It's not are you circumcised, but it is,
are you a man
already? So Bolalong, I'm a man. I don't know if Bambos is a man, but I am a man. Are you a man, Bambos?
Do you want to check?
No. Sorry.
Well, we've been in the sauna together.
Yes.
You are having breakfast with your boyfriend, and you're the current one, and you notice something which makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit like hee. And how walk me a little bit through your journey of seeing that moment and possibly creating a joke out of it? Like, do you even when does it hit you that this is actually really funny for a joke?
Yeah.
Well, I write down all those little moments. So
how many times have you written down moments since the show began?
I haven't. I mean, I haven't been writing during the show.
You're not funny enough, Bambos. Please continue.
You've been doing all the talking.
Yeah, true.
No, but maybe after the show, if I'm thinking about it, or later I'm meeting with a writing group, and so maybe I'll be like, oh yeah, that was weird. But no, whenever I have a weird thought that I'm like, ooh, that could be something, I write it down, and then I'll like go through it. I'll scroll through it and be like, oh yeah, that could be something, and then come up with more ideas. I have like friends that I write with too, so sometimes that
I find at least I found in writing for myself sometimes
because he's a writer.
The two books, Bambos is published. Love This Man. If you have a concept, a word, I've often found you think it's going to be really good, and then it isn't, and some you just put a random thought out, and then all of a sudden that becomes hysterical. So how often do you find that, and what does that process look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes it's that thing of sometimes the jokes that you spend the least time working on end up being funnier than jokes that you're like you struggle and you write and you spend all this time Yeah. And sometimes it's like the funniest thing is an off the cuff remark that you make when you're on stage that you've never thought of before, and it just comes to you, and then you can never repeat the success of it. That's a crazy thing. Sometimes you'll say something and you're like, oh, that was hilarious. I'm going to work that into the joke. And then you try it again and it's like, nope, doesn't have the same magic.
Do you ever, Hannah, do you ever get on stage and as you're telling the joke, you might adjust it and discover that it's even funnier?
Yeah.
Or do you make discoveries about the situation like, oh, if I didn't tell the story, I would not have had that insight?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because sometimes also you can like relate things back to what a comedian before you has said, and that can make something funnier if you can kind of call back to them. Or yeah, sometimes kind of depending on what the audience is like, you'll make little adjustments to jokes. Yeah, I'm much more like I work things out much more on stage than on paper. Which was really rough with COVID. Like I didn't really do that much writing during COVID because I was like, where am I gonna say it out loud? I need to say it out loud somewhere to people. Yeah.
Between the ex and the new boyfriend, and you're working with the humor and you're finding men attractive in the audience, how do you navigate that? And does the humor help or hurt?
I think for the most part, women aren't getting laid from comedy. You know,
really?
I don't think that's what
I said. Really, you're not getting the, hey, let me talk to that attractive woman on the stage.
Yeah, I mean, I think for guys, for male comedians, it's easier. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that really. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really have that experience of performing and having guys. I mean, maybe not the kinds of guys that I was interested in, I guess. What it is. But I've definitely let guys buy me drinks after shows with no intention of doing anything, but just being like, you're like, oh my God, thanks. Bye.
Doesn't that kind of suck? Because the man weirdly gets a kind of a bit of appreciation and women will come up afterwards, but it isn't really the same in reverse.
No, I mean, I think unless I have some female comedian friends who are like very conventionally attractive anyway. And so kind of no matter what they do, they're going to get attention from men. But I don't think I've had or seen many people who are like, you know, kind of a normal, like, you know, I think I'm like a normal looking woman that, you know, maybe no one's paying attention to me, but then afterwards everyone's like, oh my God, you know, she was so funny. I want to fuck her. No, I don't think that's really.
No, I think if you were a singer, that might happen, I guess.
Totally. Yeah. Singers, dancers, the comedians. I mean, I don't know. I think people are intimidated by it. I've maybe had more like women be like, hey, after a show.
Yeah.
Lesbians are into it. They're into the humor, but I think straight guys, they're a bit intimidated often. Not all the time, but kind of.
I think there's a good story joke where you guys were engaging. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way you talked about it and the way you said, if you're a singer, totally.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean.
Yeah, that would probably be a good joke. I could imagine that. Yeah. Yeah, that whole dichotomy of like having to be the helpless woman to get the attraction of men, right?
And Bulelang, who's in South Africa again, he's not commenting from Facebook saying women find funny guys sexy, but men are not like that. Yes, it's true.
It's there are. I mean, obviously, like my boyfriend likes that I'm funny. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why he likes me. And like we met on Tinder. And I think my first picture was a picture of me with a microphone on stage. So like he knew, you know, I wrote that I was a comedian. So he knew that. So I think there are obviously guys who find that attractive in women for sure. But I think it's not the norm.
You begin this in 2015. That's not a long time ago.
2016, I started comedy.
2016.
Yeah.
And now, so we're looking 4 to 5 years into this journey for you.
Yeah.
And it's sort of interesting because at some point there's got to be a vision, like where do you see yourself ending up? And like, how do you see it evolving so that mom and dad aren't sitting around on Friday night at Passover, whatever the thing is, we're Seder or whatever we're doing then, saying, when is our daughter going to grow up and get a real job? Like, how do you transition to a point when they start to say, wow, Hannah's she's owning it?
Well, yeah, well, I mean, I'm on a TV show here in Barcelona. So
Okay.
that's pretty cool.
In Spanish?
It's in English. It's very weird. It's like a show in English on local Catalan TV. So the idea is to help local people improve their English using kind of references that they understand. So it's not like, I'm in London, like, let's go to Big Ben. It's like, we're here in Barcelona, but we're talking in English. I don't know. It's kind of,
I think I saw some bits of it. I think you went to like the market and you talked to people and stuff. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So I do like on the street interviews, and then I'm on set talking with it's called The Weekly Mag. It's a very good show, very fun. So I think that was kind of a cool thing, and that's a cool thing for them to see. That's kind of legitimizes me a little bit. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to talk about it, but I was just in Romania. Again, just like my career is very random. I was just in Romania filming like a comedy competition show that's like a new show. So it's sort of like Last Comic Standing, or I don't know, that kind of thing, just for stand-up comedy. And that was like, when I was sending them pictures, they were like, whoa, that's like a real thing. And I'm like, yeah, it really was. It's a real studio and real, real everything. It's just Romanian. So it's I had no idea what was going on most of the time. And
it reminds me of again, another film reference, because I like them so much. The Elton John film that just recently came out, when it was sort of like he kind of had to play at Wembley Stadium before his parents said, "Oh, our son has made it." Like, you're like, no one can actually have a real job if they're a musician or a comedian or something. It's like funny how that mindset is that we have a very preconceived idea of what success means,
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm also really lucky that, like I said, my parents love me so much and have been so supportive of all of this. And I think, my mom's also sings and, did theater. And I think she kind of is like, gets to live vicariously through me in a way, because it's, she always wishes that she had followed that passion more. And so I think she's kind of like, ooh, like, you're doing it. You're doing the thing that I wanted to do. You like ran away to Europe and you're doing like art stuff, and it's so cool. So I think for them, I think they're very proud of me and impressed, even if I never make it. Which probably won't, because that's the biz. But I'm gonna try my darndest to make it work.
What would be the next step for you now?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really have any intention of going back to the States. So it's trying to figure out like, what can I do here to make comedy my life here. And I think a lot of that is doing more stuff in the local languages. So yeah, I mean, I've been kind of trying to do more performing in Catalan, just because it's such like a niche here, and they love seeing a foreigner speaking Catalan. I mean, they like eat that shit up. It's incredible. So I don't know. Yeah, I would love to work on, I don't know. I have it's like I do all these shows in Catalan with people who this is their job. I mean, they write for TV shows in Catalan or Spanish, and they, do the radio. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. I mean, I'd be down for that. I don't know.
You mentioned there was like kind of a network in Europe. Is that something that you can imagine that you would kind of tour country by country, or how does that like usually play out?
There are a lot of comedians that do that. I say a lot. There's a number of comedians that already do that. And there's actually a group that I'm kind of vaguely a part of, this Comedians of Europe group, where they're trying to set up like, the tours of all the different cities and kind of make it easier for touring comedians to take advantage of that. I mean, I also, I fantasize about that too, of being able to tour around and be able to make enough money to pay my rent and all that stuff. And I mean, that'd be amazing. Yeah. I mean, Brexit kind of screwed things up, but I at one point also fantasized like, ooh, it'd be cool to be able to like go to London for like a week every month or every 2 months and just like gig really hard. And, I mean, eventually
Forget about Brexit.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a phone call from your father or mother saying, "We just watched the show. Please explain yourself"?
No, they're into the, I mean, I wouldn't say they're into it, but they're amused by my like dirty, gross stuff. They wouldn't let one of my grandmas watch my stuff because they were like, she'll think it's horrifying. But my other grandma loves it. And she's come to see me because she came to visit Barcelona. And so she got to see me and she was loving it. Incredible. Oh, yeah.
Did you call her out in the show? Did you say my grandma's watching?
Yeah. I think I was like, that's my grandma right there. Hearing me talk about my vagina. It's good. But, Jews, that's how we do it. Yeah. That's because I'm also like half Jewish, half not Jewish. So yeah, Jewish side of the family, they're more into it. Although my grandma did say, she was like, if your grandpa could have heard you, he would have been horrified.
Yeah.
His little granddaughter saying all these things.
Yeah.
Innocent, good girl.
Yeah.
When you talked about, I lived in Japan a few years and I did magic, and I was really bad at magic, but I was able to like make fun of all the shitty magic I did. So it ended up being a comic routine that kind of had magic, but it was not. But the beauty was that my Japanese was, like you said, it was sort of, I spoke the dialect from this local little village that had a very specific dialect that I think people were just laughing at the idea that someone could speak what seemed to be foreign to them out of this sort of place that was sort of not appropriate. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's all. It's there's definitely like you get a little boost when you're speaking in a different language if you're doing it well, right? Like it's so fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love that the comedy magic stuff. There's a guy here who does that. And it's like he makes you think that he's like doing the tricks wrong and like everything's going wrong, but then in the end it like works.
Yeah.
And then you get like the double mind blown.
Like the best moment of my life was when I was doing the typical trick when you pull up all of this tissue paper and you say, look, and then you like say 1, 2, 3, and then you throw it over their head and and then they just do this and then it's vanished in their eyes. Yeah. So they had a what do you call it? Like a wall behind me. So I tossed it so it would fly over the wall, but there was somebody else on the other side of the wall. So then all of a sudden I was like, I was doing like the trick, and then all of a sudden the person tossed it back over, not knowing that it was a magic trick. And then all of a sudden it reappeared and I was like, wow. And then all of a sudden it appeared as if it was a magic trick in reverse, which was just
only you could.
That's the best. I mean, I think that's with comedy trick, that's the best thing is rolling with it when it goes well, when it doesn't go well.
You did a magic trick on the show, right?
I did some magic tricks on the show. I think I love those days. I remember there was one time when I had a bag I put over someone's head and it was see-through, so they had to be able to see the card, but they didn't have their glasses on, so they couldn't see through the bag.
Oh, no.
So then I took their glasses and I put their glasses over the bag. So it was that was when you don't, I think at some point in my life, like it started early on, I just stopped giving a shit. And when you're there, life gets to be so fun because people just sort of, it's contagious,
Yeah. I think not giving a shit is such an important thing as an entertainer. You have to just not even care. Shameless
and enjoy it and just sort of cherish the humor of the absurdity of it all. Yeah.
Totally.
Wow.
Totally.
You got anything else for me, Bambos?
Inequality, being a woman in the comedian scene. Does that come up for you?
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously fewer of us. But it's this interesting, at least in Barcelona, it's interesting because I think there are fewer of us, but more of us are like really good, right? Like I would count, I would say like most of the women doing comedy in Barcelona right now are like of the top kind of people. So it's this weird thing when you're making a lineup, and I think all the showrunners struggle with this, where they're like, I want to have a balance of men and women on the show, but that there's not as many women. But like, I don't know. I've had this experience where someone's like, "Hey, like I need a girl on the show. Are you free?" And it's like, just ask me because you think I'm funny, or like ask me because you haven't had me on the show in a while. It's just like this weird where I'm like, I it's coming from a good place, but it's just kind of comes off gross. And I also run shows, and so I've had this conversation of like, damn, okay, we need like, it's like we've asked like all men, we need a woman, but then it's like, oh, we've already had the same 5 women on the show. It's like, I don't know. I think it's tough. It's like it's a tough situation.
I found it on this show. I mean, I want to have a balance of not just all white old people on the show. And every time, I have Facebook, somehow I've attracted a lot of white old people in my Facebook group. So when I'm looking, it's like, okay, there's a lot of you white old guys here. And it's
offense, guys.
And so there is an aspect where you actually have to say, how is my surrounding affecting the kind of people I'm attracting? So it does take its own energy. Do you see that subtle sexism, like that you won't get certain slots or things like that? Or is it more just getting shows in general?
No, yeah, I think here in Barcelona it's pretty good. The showrunners are generally like good people. So yeah, no, I don't think I don't think the sexism there is the issue. Maybe with audiences sometimes. I mean, I think you maybe have to work a little harder to get them. I definitely felt this when I first started in the Spanish scene, which it's gotten a lot better over the past couple of years, but that I was on stage and they were like, why is there a woman on stage? Like, what can she say that's going to be funny? Like, it was just this energy that I didn't like. It's gotten a lot better, for sure. But
by the way, we've come out to the end of our hour, but I do have something I want to do with Bambos. He doesn't know, but I've had a dream. We've done this show 200 times, and there's something we have not done yet.
Okay.
And I've been dying to do this, and this is the first opportunity I've had to do it. So I'm gonna escape for one moment, and I'll be back, and then we're gonna do it. Okay.
Oh my God, I'm so scared.
I'm like curious.
What should we do while he's gone?
He's
now that Andy's gone.
I think he wants to make us vanish like this.
No. Don't.
Whoa.
That's not improv. So basically, I've always wanted to see us float as heads in this show. That's always something I've dreamed of on this show.
Oh,
I just dreamed of it. And it's the first time we have our sheet that...
You're really bad at this.
I am, aren't I?
Whoa. Love this.
This is my dream come true. I can't get it, Vamos. We're talking heads. We're floating, Vamos. Yes, Vamos. I would love to do that.
Talking heads.
I would love to do a show like this.
You should.
It is so random and so freaky.
Yeah.
It is so freaky. I'd like to have us in outer space and have us in outer space doing a show as if we're floating in outer space. You're the invisible man. I love it.
Oh my God.
That is so weird. You got to do it slower, Vamos. This is fantastic. Okay, so thank you.
Wow. I'm so glad I got to experience this with you guys.
This was a moment that I've been dying for since we started, and I haven't got the green screen stuff, and today we changed it, so I have it for the first time. So you can look at her or not, but Hannah, thank you for being with us and enjoying, especially this moment with us.
Oh,
it's one that we will not forget.
Oh my God. I feel really glad that I got to experience
You got to share the green screen moment with us. much love. And when you're in Amsterdam, we look forward to seeing you here. So.
Sure. Yeah.
Mesrab, do it.
Mesrab is a great place to visit. And Boom Chicago. We've got a lot of stand up here. So it's really a great place to be.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Adios.
Bye. Oh, Vambos, you didn't know. Look at Bolalong says the host, bodiless and faceless, will entertain you. Yeah.
To the bitter end.
Till the bitter end. That was great, Vambos. I think I want to do a show like that.
What do you mean you think? We're doing it tomorrow.
Floating heads. We'll just be floating heads. That's all we'll be the whole show.
Talking heads.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. It was a lot of fun. I just think it's so cool when someone decides they want to do something in their life and then they go for it and then surrender to the process. Every time I see it, it's such an inspiration for me because I feel life guides us.
And we're going to do that and so much more.
On wonderful chaos. Okay. So just in case you didn't get to hear the end of the show, this is for our podcaster so that he can edit this afterwards. It's great to have someone on the show who really lives their dream and kind of surrenders to the process. And I do see that every time in my life where people kind of follow a dream, they don't get to decide how it happens. And you can tell with Hannah, she's actually allowed herself to figure it out. So when we asked her questions like, what's the next step, where you're heading, it was not like trying to prove that she was doing anything. It was more like, I don't know. And how it evolves, we'll see. But there was a beauty in that I always find it inspires me every time I hear people speak that way.
Points.
And
nice.
so that was what I wanted to make sure that Cass Midgley got into our show. Love you. We see you tomorrow, and we don't need to do the end credits now.
Bye, guys.
Bye.